Hey, what's up, high-level fans? This is the first video in a series of videos that we're going to be doing walking through how to set up workflows. We're going to show you how to set up triggers, how to set up actions, and everything you need to do to start automating some of the manual tasks you're doing now so that you can get stuff done faster and more efficiently. Today, we're going to walk you through the workflow builder, how it works, the settings you need to have in place to have everything ready to go to start building your workflows from scratch. So if you get any value out of this video, be sure and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and be sure to check the description for any of the links that I mentioned in today's video. All right, so we're logged into our dashboard for our High Ticket with HighLevel snapshot. I'm going to take you through the workflow builder, show you the different settings, show you everything you need to know to start working with workflows if you're new to workflows. We're in the dashboard now and we're looking at the new menu. So if you are using the old menu, it might look a little bit different for you, but we're going to automation. Workflows is the menu item in the old menu. So we're going to go automation, which is our workflows. Okay, you've also got campaigns and triggers, which are becoming obsolete. Workflows combines both campaigns and triggers into one tool, which is great. Now, if you can see, so the way that we structure our folders is the way or the flow of the sales and marketing process. So at the top here, we've got inbound web communication, which is basically anything coming into the website. This is just an example of how you might structure yours. Then we've got lead magnet delivery. So when someone opts in to receive a lead magnet, we want to deliver that first. We don't want to go into our deep nurture sequence there. We just want to deliver it and then move it to the next step in our sales and marketing process, which is lead nurture. We have some very long lead nurture sequences in our High Ticket with HighLevel snapshot that will nurture our leads over a 27 email sequence, all trying to get people to book a call. Then we've got some things in the middle here. If our clients have Facebook groups, they can do live promotions. We've got reminders, and then we send a replay the next day that's going to basically send them to a landing page and then have a booking widget on it. So we're always driving to that book that call. And then if they're running webinars, we've got a whole webinar cycle. So invite to webinar, confirmation, and then after getting them to the webinar and then following up with after the webinar is over. Then once we get them to the point of booking phone calls, we've got reminders, we've got cancellation, no-show workflows that try to get them booked back in if they cancel. And then we've got some sales follow-up and some onboarding. So that's kind of the structure that we think about when we're building out snapshots for our clients, for ourselves. We want to structure these folders in a way that we understand how people flow through these different stages of our process. So if we look at the different parts in the main portion of the workflow builder in the folders area, over here on the left-hand side, we've got all workflows. So you can view all workflows, either draft or published. You can only view the draft if you want, or you can see just the published if you want. Now here we've got the name of and right now we're looking at the folder area. Again, it's paginated. So once you hit 10 workflows, you'll have another page created. I like to number my folders and my workflows in the order that they happen. And I like to put a 0 in front of that number, because if you hit 10, it's going to mess up the order. So it will actually order these if you number them. So I like to put numbers before them so I can keep everything organized in the way that the marketing and the sales process happen. Once you start enrolling people into these workflows, let's go into a folder. Now, this is just a snapshot, so we're not actually actively running any of these workflows, but we look at all these columns here. We've got the name of the workflow. We've got the total number of people enrolled in the workflow. So that's all the people that have ever been enrolled in the workflow. Then we see the people that are actually active in the workflow. So they're actively in a step of the workflow. We see when we've last updated this workflow, and then you see when it's created. Now, if you want to come over here, you can click the edit button. That will go into the workflow and you can start editing the actual workflow. You can delete the workflow, or you can clone the workflow. And we do this a lot for a lot of different types of workflows. You don't have to build a workflow from scratch. You can clone it and just tweak a few of the items. That's really the best way to kind of build these things out once you've got a few running. All right, so let's go back to the folder area. Now, when we want to create our first folder, what we want to do is click this create folder. Again, I like to put a number in front of it with a 0, and then we can name it whatever our first step in our marketing and sales process is. So, maybe it's inbound communication, maybe it's prospecting, whatever that case is for you or your client, you're going to name that folder. And then once you've created a folder, you can go into that folder and then you come in here and you create a workflow. Now, this will take you to a page where is the workflow creator essentially. If you are new to workflows, you've been running campaigns in the past, campaigns and triggers, you can actually import all the steps from your campaigns into a workflow automatically. So I don't think I have any workflows in here or campaigns in here. I do have a campaign in here. So basically I'll just take you through this real quick. So you can pick the campaign you want to import. And then once you've picked that campaign, you're going to click create new workflow. And that's going to go and it's going to basically build all those steps for you that were in your campaign into the workflow. Now, there might be a few things that are missing. You definitely want to go and check that. And then your triggers do not automatically transfer over or import. So you have to recreate those triggers when you use the import campaign feature to build your workflow. So let me get back out of here. And then I'm actually going to delete that because I don't want that in there. And let's go back and let's look at some of the other things that you can do when you create a workflow. Click the green create workflow button. So this is if you want to start a workflow and you don't want anything in there, you just want to start from scratch. You can use that. And then we have other recipes that HighLevel has already provided for you that you can use to build workflows very quickly, just like we did when we imported the campaign. So we've got the appointment confirmation reminder and survey and review request if you wanted to use that. The Google My Business message. So if someone sends you a message through Google My Business, it will automatically notify users and then auto respond to that message. Appointment booking. So it will basically send a booking link if somebody has the intent that they want to book. List reactivation. This is database reactivation. Basically, you send a text message with the keyword. When people respond, that's like opting in, and then you can move them into a nurture sequence to get them to book a call or buy something from you, whatever the case may be. Birthday template. This is around birthday promotions. If you have that form filled for your particular contact, your birthdays, then you can trigger events and workflows off of that. Facebook Messenger. This is much like the Google My Business Messenger. Somebody messages you through your Facebook page, you can let your user know that somebody has sent you a message, and then you can respond automatically to those messages. Auto missed call text back. So if someone calls into your Twilio number inside of your HighLevel account, then you can automatically text those people back, try to get them to respond, and then carry on that conversation. And then appointment confirmation and reminders. This is your basic, when someone books an appointment, it'll send a confirmation and then remind them up to the date of the appointment. Send a review request. If you wanted to send a request to your clients to give you a review, you can do that here. And then Fast 5, this workflow delivers the ultimate first 5-minute lead nurture. I think this one's new. I have not checked that one out, so I have to check that one out. Okay, so now let's go back up to the start here and let's start from scratch. Whatever type of workflow you want to build, you have to click into that. And then you click create new workflow, click that green button. And let's walk through all the items inside the actual builder itself. So you can go back to the workflows if you ever want to just reverse out of this. We can name our workflows. So again, when we're building our workflows, we like to not only order our workflow and number our workflow folders, we also like to order and number our actual workflows inside of that folder in the way that they flow. Okay. So I would put like a 01 opt-in. Let's just say that's the first step. I'm not going to build some great name there, but you get the idea. All right. So then across the top here, we can save any changes. So you can see when I change the name, I need to save it. And then the actions here, we can show version history. So you can see the history of the updates that you've made to that particular workflow. Actions here. So this is where you'll actually build the workflow itself. We'll talk about triggers and actions here in just a second. Settings. This is where you'll set up the settings for the actual workflow. So let's go through some of these different settings. So communication management, time window, anytime. So this means that the workflow will run anytime that it is triggered. Okay. So anytime that trigger happens, it's going to run. Now, if you want it to only trigger during specific times, let's say you have an email or a text message sequence, you don't want it to go out in the middle of the night, then you want to choose specific time. So then you can choose, the days that you want it to run and the time period, the time window you want it to run in. Now the sender address, let's talk about that for a second. So when you're sending email through one of these workflows, you can give it a default from name and from email. And that's going to be the overriding name and email that this workflow will send from. Now, if you want to change that in just one or two of the emails, you'll have to edit that in the actual email step, which we can show you in a later video. We're going to be breaking down all the triggers and the actions in our workflow series. So be sure and check out the playlist and find the workflow the triggers and the actions that you're looking for. And we'll give you a good explanation on how all that works. All right. So but this is going to be the overarching from name and from email. You can also allow multiple, which means we can allow someone to go, or a contact to go through this workflow multiple times. So you want to toggle that on if you want that to be a case. Do you want it to stop on the response? So if a contact responds during the time that they are in this workflow moving through it, you can toggle this on if you want it to stop if they respond at any time in that particular workflow. Conversation management. So auto mark as read. So any of the messages that are sent through this workflow will create a unread message in conversations. So if you don't want that to happen, which I don't like it because it just fills my inbox, so I like to toggle this off. So it's auto mark as read. This is deprecated, so you don't have to worry about this. There's actually actions now that you can create that will center your workflow around a specific event. History, this is where you can see all of the history or action logs of people as they've flowed through the workflow. So you can see, the different statuses, if there was some issues, and you've got a lot of detail on the actual workflow itself. And then status, it's very similar to, history, but you can see who's currently going through your workflow and what their status is. Okay. And then over here at the top, when you're done with creating your workflow, you would mark it as publish, and then you'd click save, and then you're ready to go. We haven't built anything yet, so we're going to head back over to the actions tab here. We'll start talking about triggers and workflows, or triggers and actions. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to figure out what action you want to trigger your workflow. And there's tons of different actions. And again, we're going to get into these different actions later on in other videos. We're going to break down each one of them because I want you to know exactly what each one of these do. So you just scroll through the playlist, find the one you're interested in, and then check out how to set that up. So let's take a quick look at triggers. So basically you would click into add new trigger. You can have multiple triggers in one workflow, which is cool. It's different from previous campaign trigger setup because you had to create multiple triggers, and it was a lot harder. And I know a lot of people are timid to move to workflows, but you have to do it. And honestly, once you do it, you'll actually be happy because it's much faster and it's pretty cool. So first of all, you've got the trigger name. So you'd want to give it a name so you know exactly what that trigger actually does. And then the type of trigger, you can either do CRM if you're bringing in lead capture, or if you're doing lead gen ads on Facebook, you can actually integrate the fields from your forms and automatically push that into HighLevel. And then that would be a form fill from Facebook. So you want to choose the trigger type Facebook. They just added Shopify. So if you have add to cart campaigns or abandoned cart campaigns, those kind of things, you can integrate those triggers here as well. So a lot of time you're going to start with CRM for the most part, and then you'll choose a workflow trigger. And there's tons of workflow triggers here, guys. So we're not going to go through all of them today. We're going to do that in separate videos, but I just want to show you what a trigger will look like when you actually start with a trigger. So let's just pick appointment. And each trigger that you choose is going to have filters that you can add to get that trigger more specific on what you're looking for as the starting action of your workflow. So if I came in here for appointments, I might come in here, and here are the standard filters that I can look at. So appointment status is confirmed. So this is if somebody would book the appointment and it was confirmed automatically, then that would be the trigger. Then you can add additional filters on top of that. So maybe you wanted it only to fire if that particular contact has a certain tag. So you could add that tag here. And I only want it to fire if somebody's canceled this call. So you can continue to add all these different filters, and you've got these standard filters that you can use. And if you have contacts in your system and you have custom fields that you've created, you can also filter by those custom fields, which I don't have any available because this is just a snapshot account that we duplicate. So this is not, none of the custom fields are active right now. But when you have all of your filters the way you want it, then you would click Save Trigger. Again, give it a name so you know exactly what that does. And then you can see the trigger up here. You'd have the name so you know exactly what that trigger does. And again, if you wanted to add another trigger, you could. So then once we have our trigger in place, then we want to start creating the actions that are going to piggyback as a result of that particular trigger. So then we would click the plus button. And again, just like triggers, we've got all these different actions that we can make happen as a result of that trigger. You can quickly search for any of the actions that you want to have. And then you would come in here and just like triggers, you want to give it a name, the action a name, and then you just go through here and select all of the appropriate items for that particular action. And again, we're going to get a lot deeper into these things, or once we go through the different workflow triggers and actions. So again, check out the playlist and go through and just find the triggers and the actions that you want. So that's basically what you do. You just create these different actions, and you can come in here and you can create tons of different actions. So here's the example of the email that I was talking about. So we talked about the overarching email that's in the settings area, and you can come in here and you can override that in each individual email by giving this a from name or a from email. And we can also use custom values in these areas. So I wanted it to be from location name, which is the actual company that's assigned to this particular account. And then I can do location email, and you need to figure out, you'll kind of learn these variables as you get more familiar with the tool. And then you give the email a name, subject, and then you would type in your message and click Save Action. That would add the, I'm just going to do this for you real quick. Test, make sure everything looks good. Click Save Action. And then you can see that we've added that particular action to the workflow. So now we have a trigger and we have an action. If that's good and we want it, we're ready to publish, we move it to publish, we click Save. And then you can test the workflow. So you can add a contact to the system, to HighLevel, your account, and then select that contact and then run the test and push them through that workflow. If you have a wait step, you can actually push them through the wait step. So there's wait steps. I can search for it here. So wait, and then you can do the certain amount of wait time. So most of the time, if you're running a test, they're going to get stuck in the wait area, and then you can just push them through that particular step. So that is the summary of the workflow builder. Thank you guys for watching. If you got a lot of value out of this video, be sure and thumbs up this video and then hit subscribe. And be sure to check out the description below where we've got a link to the workflows playlist, so you can find the workflows that you want to try to figure out how to build, and watch that video, and it should walk you through exactly how to do that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.